Hi everyone, it's been a few weeks since I've done one of these videos. My webcam was not working and then I was traveling last week, so it's been a few weeks and I feel a little disconnected from um, the class, and even though the video doesn't allow me to see your responses as well, it still allows me to feel like I'm connected with you guys a little bit more strongly. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this week's readings, and I hope you've done the readings as well as had a chance to look at the study guide, and then talk about the tasks, which will also be up here on under announcements. And I've been getting every few days a couple of questions about the portfolios, so and I hope people have found my responses clarifying. If you still have any questions, let me know. Make sure to check out the samples under the portfolio elements section under content, just so you have a sense of what it is I'm looking for. And don't worry if things don't look exactly like you end up. Your classroom is going to be different. Your circumstances are going to be different. So the description under the syllabus of the portfolio should be a good guideline. So stick to that, and if the samples look a little different, don't worry about it. And of course, feel free to check in with me at any point. I'm also available to Skype or video chat in a different way if you're unable to come to campus. All right, so let's go. Of course, today's this week's readings were basically focused on grammar and vocabulary, and so let's begin with the Vallejo and Spada 2016 piece. Spada is extremely renowned in the field of grammar instruction. Very popular, very famous, and very particularly renowned for the kind of very in-depth research that has been done on this particular issue. There's been a huge amount of interest in grammar instruction in ESL and EFL classrooms. So there's a wealth of research in this field, and I'd encourage you, if you're interested in this topic, to go on Google Scholar or go on the library website to look at what's out there. There's just so much out there, some great books on the issue as well, and I'm happy to give you references as well if you want to strengthen your knowledge of this field. There's also some really quick, easy reads that you might find illuminating. So as far as the Vallejo and Spada, the article is concerned, as you read, it brings together, it's a qualitative and quantitative research article that brings together learners' perspectives and ideologies. And this is published in TESOL Quarterly, which is one of the big, in fact, probably the most prestigious journal in the field of TESOL, that is Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And so they were looking at a very interesting Brazilian EFL and a Canadian ESL context, and they were looking at the timing of grammatical instruction when something is taught. And they were particularly focusing on the distinction between isolated and integrated form-focused instruction. So that is just looking at when grammar instruction is integrated within communicative exercises, and then or the teaching of grammar separately in a more isolated fashion. And of course, they were really interested in the focus for a lot of scholars and teachers has been how to help support learners' development of grammatical accuracy. And while a lot of the discussion about the timing of grammar instruction has been theoretical, has been very much around research, this is trying to take also perspectives of teachers and learners into account. And as I said, it's very interesting. It's a mixed study. You have quantitative results and qualitative results. And I think among the many interesting findings is that there was a distinct preference for integrated over isolated form-focused instruction across both groups and across the different contexts, Brazil and Canada. So that's really telling. And this is not absolute, which means that it wasn't that everybody preferred this all the time, but that there was a distinct preference. And however, and this is connected to the task you're doing this week, also the use of questionnaires to understand perspectives of learners and teachers can be problematic and comes with limitations, as you will read in the study guide as well. Then we have Ur from 2011 on grammar teaching in the Handbook of Research in Second Language Teaching and Learning. And what that looks as is that in spite of the current promotion and popularity of communicative and task-based methods by many ministries of education or departments of education across different countries, grammar explanations and grammar exercises continue to be prominent in textbooks and in how teachers teach English. And so this has been something that we again, there's continuing research in the field, continuing interest, and grammar as an isolated skill continues to be taught widely, though there is this pushback and a new wave of a new approach in the form of communicative and task-based English teaching methods. And here you have implicit and explicit teaching, which is very similar to the previous article that you were looking at. And so here, do you want, the ideas are, do you want to have the students learn grammar as integrated, again, into communicative activities and communicative texts? Or do you want to do explicit grammar teaching where you break down why something is happening and how particular rules work? And so in this particular piece, you also see a variety of, there's discussion of some really important ideas and theories that have shaped the field of grammar teaching, especially the idea of noticing when you when learners pay attention to distinct forms, grammatical forms. There's the teachability hypothesis, and that there's a particular level at which the learner will be able to acquire a form. There's different methods for grammar teaching, like the traditional input or task-based instruction, the natural approach, task-based instruction, and then focus on form and consciousness raising, skill-based theory, skill theory-based instruction. And one of the end results of the author suggests that a possible solution would be to do a mix and match, and there are 5 practical options. So you have task plus focus on form, grammar explanations plus practice, communication, consciousness raising, and then exemplar learning. And finally, and this is what we're left with pretty much everything, we need more long-term, longitudinal, qualitative studies of grammar teaching situated within different contexts. The Nation and Chunk piece, on the other hand, focuses specifically on vocabulary, and their thrust is that a well-planned vocabulary component of a language course has the following features. It focuses on the appropriate level of vocabulary, it provides a balanced range of opportunities for learning, and it monitors and assesses the learner's vocabulary knowledge in useful and practical ways. And this entails having particular goals, which involve vocabulary levels and multi-word units, and then they discuss how should vocabulary be taught and learned, and this involves meaning-focused input, then meaning-focused output, language-focused learning, fluency development, which is really critical as well, and then a discussion of how vocabulary knowledge should be monitored and assessed, because it's also talking about testing, so diagnostic testing, proficiency testing, and achievement testing. So this week, basically, as you saw, revolves around grammar and vocabulary, 2 very, very critical aspects of language instruction, and 2 aspects around which there has been a lot of debate. And so for the tasks and for this week, the first one is that you're going to be looking at the Vallejo and Spada 2016 study, and you're gonna there's actually the survey questionnaires that they used in their research that's at the end of that's provided at the end of the chapter, right after the references. And my question is, if you were to do a similar study in your school community context, do you think you would find similar results? Why or why not? Explain. And any one student in your group could consider this, of course, because you wouldn't all three be working on the same point. If you, I would like for you to discuss with your peers what result you come up with anyway, of course, before uploading. But any one person could conceptualize what a study like this would look like in the classroom, that or community ESL context you're in right now. The second one has you look at an article published in The Atlantic a few years ago, and the title is provocatively "The Wrong Way to Teach Grammar," and this is from 2014. And what I want you to do is discuss the views portrayed in the article in light of your reading of the Ur piece from 2011. So what I'm looking to understand is, do you get a sense that Ur's 2011 views are aligned with the article authors, Cleary's, and or why not? And explain. So you'll be looking at the article. It's not a very long article, so you'll be looking at the article in light of the Ur reading. And of course, you're welcome to bring in the Vallejo and Spada piece as well. Finally, you'll be checking out the resources at an extremely popular vocabulary teaching site called Reading Rockets, and I'd highly recommend this for you in your own teaching. And so what I want you to look at is, given the Nation and Chung piece, how do you think this website could assist you in the classroom? And so think about the way in which vocabulary resources are aligned here, and think about the ways in which the assessment resources that are offered on Reading Rockets, do they align with the Nation and Chung views on vocabulary teaching and testing? And any features of the website that particularly stand out for you. So those are the questions, and yeah, good luck with everything, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, signing off for this week. Thank you. Bye-bye.